Hey, I'm Anastasia Button. I'm the Millennial expert partnering with American Dream Real Estate School, and they are providing this course on how to attract and serve millennial buyers. As you know, millennials in recent years has been quite a conundrum. A lot of people can't seem to understand what millennials want, why they're leaving jobs, why they won't stay, why they won't buy houses. And this is where American Dream Real Estate wants you to understand how millennials buy homes because of new statistics that have come out. So as the millennial expert, let's get underway. What is a millennial? A lot of people like to think that millennials are, in 2016, they're between the ages of 5 and 15, or maybe they're like in their 40s. Who really knows what a millennial is? Well, I'm going to tell you that a millennial is actually born between 1980 and 2000. This means in the year 2016 that millennials are between the ages of 16 and 36. So make sure you keep those dates in mind as we go along with this. Interesting thing is, in 2015, the National Real Estate Association came out with statistics about millennials, and that 50% of millennials are actually working in the world, and especially in America. So you're working with half other generation and half millennials. So this is saying that millennials are actually making money in 2015. An interesting thing is that millennials overtook boomers in 2015. Boomers is a big generation. We always talk about boomers. Now they're the grandparents of the millennials, or the great-grandparents of millennials. Boomers were the ones that changed the world, buying homes, selling homes, making big business and corporations. Well, millennials, there's more of them, which means they're going to make a big impact on this world. And if you're planning on being in business, you better pay attention. Because here's the thing. 32% of millennials in 2015 are buying homes. That's more than the entire boomer generation put together. That means that millennials are still between the ages of 16 and 36 in 2015, which tells you that in 10 years, the ones that are in high school and college are going to be buying homes. This percentage is going to be rising. The crazy thing is that in 10 years, millennials are not going to be taking up 50% of the workplace. They're going to take up 76% of the workplace. This is a big market, and you need to learn how to market with them today in order to be very successful within 10 years. So what do millennials really want? The thing is millennials who are buying homes would actually reuse their agent. Up to 75% will actually reuse agents. So if you want to be in on the millennial crowd, the percentage of them actually using you again is pretty high. So don't be too scared about millennials. It's actually pretty easy to turn them onto a real estate agent to buy a home. So what are they really wanting though? They're wanting you to be a guide. Millennials need guides. We are in the information age. That's what everyone's talking about. The internet, it's on your phone, it's on billboards, it's everywhere. The thing is that millennials are so tired of information. They don't really care about information from you. They can get information on YouTube. They can get information on the internet. They can get information from all sorts of sources just from a mobile device. What they're needing is somebody to build trust with them. And with that, you have to be a guide. Yes, you have to be knowledgeable. Yes, you have to know what you're doing. But being a trusting person, being a guide to them to buying a home is exactly what they need. So how can we be a guide? It's all about your message. You have to have a clear message towards millennials that you care about them and that you're going to get them a home that they want in the price range that they can get. What they really want from you is authenticity, transparency, and integrity. That's it. If you have all three of those, you're set. If you think you don't, you might want to work on it. But in today's world, we're filled with all this information. We've seen every single sales tactic you can possibly imagine, from our parents, from our grandparents, you name it. So they're really just looking for somebody who's going to be authentically interested in them, caring for them, transparent enough to where they don't have to know absolutely everything, but they can find out. And they want to make sure that you're someone of integrity. You're not going to try and make sure that your commission rate's higher or any of those other slime balls that they do. They really just want you to be an authentic person and be a friend, be a guide for them. because that's all they need. In all reality, millennials can get a PhD online if they want. They can purchase a home if they want and not use a real estate agent. But 75% are reusing their agents, which means they're looking for those guides. And you can be that person. But here's the problem, is a lot of real estate agents will go out there and just spit out facts. Facts, 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 facts. Blah, 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 blah. Again, we've heard so many sales pitches. We've heard everything. Just tell us who you are, why we should use you, and how we can trust you. What's your track record? We don't need to know all sorts of facts of what's going on in Denver. We researched it all. We are the most educated generation since ever, which means that we know how to get the information, and it's all on our phones. So we don't need facts, facts, facts. We need trust, trust, trust. We need authenticity. We need transparency. So think about those characteristics whenever you do any marketing and whenever you're talking to a millennial. They may know just about as much as you do. They just want somebody to help them through the process of buying a home because they know it's an investment. Because the thing is, millennials grew up in 2008. We have seen 9/11 and we grew up in 2008. We saw our parents and our grandparents lose homes. We don't want to go through that process again. We want to make sure that we're secure and we have someone we can rely on instead of just somebody who has a good track record, and instead of somebody who just knows all the facts, instead of somebody who can just say, hey, here's a contract, sign it. Why should they sign with you? What guarantees can you give them about who you are, and are you really looking out for them? That's what they want to know. And if you show that in your messaging and you show that in person, then they'll sign up with you in a heartbeat. So how do we market to millennials? That's a huge question, and everybody's talking about it. Corporations, Fortune 500 companies. Companies are suffering because they're not marketing to millennials correctly, and so are real estate agents. And like I said, in 10 years, if you want to be in business by 2025, you need to know how to market to these guys because they're all online, right? They're not out and about. They're not really talking to people. They're on their phones. At least that's what people are telling us, right? We want to have that connection with people. We want to have the connection with the real estate agents. And how you can do that is through proper marketing. So how many types of marketing can you do? It's endless. You can do anything out there, but there's right marketing in today's world, and there's marketing that's not so much anymore. Like print, newspaper, magazines. I'm sorry, but they're about to leave. Everything's going onto the iPad, onto the phone, onto the website. So if you're just relying on bus benches, if you're relying on the billboards, if you're relying on print, chances are they're probably not even seeing it because we're in the information age. We're overloaded with information all the time by not even looking for it. So you need to be smart about this. And the best way to do that is through web marketing, but I'm going to show you how you can do that. You really need to start thinking mobile. You need to start thinking about the computer. If the computer freaks you out, you need to find a millennial that can help you figure it out. Because if you're not online, you're not in business. That's Bill Gates, by the way. If you're not online, you're not in business. He's a smart guy. I suggest you taking that advice. So how can we be mobile? Well, first thing that comes to mind is Google, right? Google is being used all the time. It's a noun, it's an adjective, it's a verb. I'm going to Google it. Why don't you just Google it? It's everywhere. And millennials are tapping into Google more than ever. But the thing about Google is that if your website is not mobile friendly, they will actually put you on the back page. They are going to put all mobile sites as the first 10 pages on the search. So if you want to be in Google and you want millennials to find you, you need to be mobile. Thing is though, is that with online searching, everybody does the online search. We can be in agreement for that. But did you know, millennials, 94% of them actually do online searching for any kind of information. I think the other 6% are actually still in college and have to look into books. I really think that's what's going on. It's soon going to be 100%. It's going to be the way we look up any kind of information. So you have to be online if you're not online at all. And you have to be mobile because 50% of all these searches are mobile. All millennials are using their phones or their pads to search. You have to be mobile friendly. But how are you going to be mobile friendly, and how can you start to attract them? How are you going to be more searchable? How can you guarantee that you're going to be on that first page even when you have a mobile website? The thing is that Google always picks up keywords. This is where SEO comes in. If you don't know what SEO is, talk to your graphic artist, or you can do it yourself. You can actually YouTube it or Google it if you'd like. But you need to look into SEO, and you need to start understanding what are the keywords that people are actually searching so that you can put it into your content. Yes, you're going to have to create content. You're busy, I get it, you're having to make phone calls, you're having to set up appointments, do showings, all that jazz, but if you want to be in business in the next 10 years, you need to set up some time aside to be working on your content to put up onto Google, because your website's not just going to do it all by itself. Your website is not going to cut it. It's not going to bring you on the first page every single time. To become more searchable, you got to put the content out there. And this shows that you are valuable. They can trust you because they get to know you. And it shows your credibility. So when you put more content on there, you're actually attracting more millennials to you who want to buy homes. And here are some ways that you can actually do it. YouTube, Instagram, and blogs. Blogs go on the website. You want to make sure that your blog site, or however you do this, is connected to your website, because you want to drive everyone to your website. That's just how marketing works. No matter what you're doing, if you're doing speaking, if you're networking, everybody's going to go to your website because everyone is searching for you. So if you put content onto YouTube, if you put content onto Instagram, content onto blogs, it will bring your search status on Google higher because you have more stuff out there. Pay attention to keywords, how to buy a home, how to buy a loan, all those things. You got to put those in there or else it's not going to be very searchable. Again, if you're not sure about SEO, talk to your web developer. But I'm going to talk a little bit about YouTube. YouTube is a giant, and it's actually owned by Google. So they're partners. Whenever someone searches something, usually if it's a how-to, usually it'll be like number 1 or number 2 on the search list. So if you can do that, where someone actually sees your face, sees you're providing content, and you're one of the first 2 things on Google, they're going to click it. And if you provide value and show trust, then they might go to your website and give you a call. You're bringing your chances of actually getting in front of millennials higher this way. But let's talk a little bit about Instagram a little bit first before we go into YouTube. Instagram is a great place for millennials to just look at pictures. And if you're on Instagram and you have a new listing of a home come in, put it on Instagram and hashtag the crap out of it. You can only put 20 hashtags on Instagram images, but I want you to fill that up with 20 hashtags. And if you need to do like a copy-paste maneuver, that's fine. But you need to come up with 20 hashtags that people will be looking for. These can even be the same keywords that people are using to search for you. Real estate, home, buying, you could put bling, you could put mansion, you could put anything in there, and it's just to attract people to your Instagram images. Put pictures of you on there, even put small videos. I think you can do about up to 17 seconds. And this is 2016, so about 17 seconds. They might expand that later. But at this point, you could just do a very short clip of what the home looks like, or what's going on with the home, or when it will be on the market. Anything like that to engage people. Because here's the thing, millennials are very entrepreneurial, and a lot of millennials want to get into real estate. And so they're going to be on Instagram looking for those terms. So if you actually put a hashtag like entrepreneur in there, you'd actually might get more traction and more investors. Because as we know, in the next 10 years, 76% of them are going to be working, which means they're going to be looking for extra levels of income. Blogs. Let's talk about blogs. It can be intimidating knowing that you have to put a blog out there at least once a month. You can even think of it as a newsletter if you want to. But the whole purpose of blogs is to create a how-to, or just send some extra information, new information that's come out in the real estate market or in your area. If you are just a real estate agent that just works in a city, really monetize that. Talk about how to buy a home in Denver, Colorado, how to buy a home in San Diego, California, however that needs to be. Really monetize on that. These are keywords that people will be searching for. homes in San Diego, homes in Denver, Colorado, however that works. Make sure you provide a blog that gives them the answers to the how-to, to the what if. But let's go into YouTube, because that's really where the power is, and that's really where people aren't monetizing this in real estate. And you can make a huge difference, especially if you're localized in like San Diego or San Francisco. You can kick the crap out of this thing and get a lot of millennials coming to you. So let's go to some steps of how this works. I did this screenshot recently, and this is in 2016. I hope you're up there tomorrow. But this is the people that actually created these videos. 10 tips for buying a home. Buying a home for first time. Tips. Create the same type of SEO tags and keywords into these videos, because Google and YouTube are together, right? So if you put those things into the descriptions of these videos, you will be more searchable, and people will see your videos right up on the Google search and just click on your video. If you provide value, kind of show who you are, it builds a relationship without even having to pick up the phone. This is a great way to make passive income, because you're bringing in passive leads. You're not having to do a lot except to make one video that goes up on YouTube, and maybe 1,000, maybe 1,000,000 people view it. You just have to do it that one time, and then it's there. You don't have to keep doing it over and over and over again. It's a great way to attract millennials to you. So to create these videos, great. You got a camera, you got a phone, you can create a video, create a how-to process or some steps. Awesome. Make a list and then do them. But how do you title these? How do you figure out what they need to know? Actually, Google and YouTube will give you the answer. When you start typing in things into Google or YouTube, how to get a home loan, tips on buying a house, anything like that, you just start asking a question, and Google and YouTube will finish the question for you. These are what people most likely are typing in. Google and YouTube put this together so people don't have to continue typing the question. They can just press click and it goes. This is a great way for you to realize what people are looking for, so you don't really need to figure out what videos to do. You can just do them based on what YouTube and Google are telling you, because millennials are telling you. It's really interesting how you can find free marketing research just by using Google search bar. It's pretty cool. So when you figure out the topic, do the video, post it up on YouTube, make sure you do the tags, make sure you do the description and all those keywords are in there so you're more searchable. You post it on your YouTube channel, you make sure you put your website in the description and the website when you're talking, and people will be attracted to your website. Be really interesting to see where you guys go with this, and I'm really hoping to see you on page 1 of Google when I search this in about a month after doing this video. But here's the thing too. We are mobile, right? YouTube is mobile, which is great, but there are some other things you can do that are also passive to bring in more millennials to be attracted to you. Isn't it great to think that millennials can be attracted to you instead of you having to try and bring them in as much? It's a pretty cool thing, but here's some other applications you can use. When you're using Realtor and Zillow and all those things, when you're putting up your listings, you need to make sure they can figure out where it is right away. Google Maps is used more than any other application on phones, on computers, and on the iPads. You need to make sure that you have a Google link right there that goes straight to the address, so they can just go straight to their phone and they can just drive right there. If you make things more accessible to people, especially millennials, they will tap in right away. If you make it easily accessible, they will just jump right onto it instead of looking for another realtor. They'd rather find things easy than hard, because information today is easily accessible. You need to be easily accessible. So let's say we got a millennial that checked out your YouTube, went to your website, saw some listings, clicked on it, took you to Zillow, and then they saw the map. They drove by, they liked the house, now they want to get in contact with you. Perhaps they send you an email or they give you a call. The best way to contact a millennial is not through email. Disregard email like crazy. We get spammed like crazy. We don't want another email from some realtor that's like, oh, hey, I heard you got a call from me. We probably won't even see it. It might go to our spam folder, along with all the other real estate agents. The best way to contact these millennials that contact you first is through text or to give them a call back. Text them. Hey, got your message. Do you have a couple of minutes to talk about the house you viewed on such and such street in such and such city? This is going to be like, oh my gosh, they're tech savvy. This is wonderful. Thing is, millennials, they're so busy all the time. They don't want to really pick up the phone and have a half-hour conversation with you. They'd rather schedule a time through text and then meet with you in person. You're building trust through your videos. You're building accessibility through the applications. And then you build a connection through text. You're reaching out and letting them reach back. You're getting a lot of yeses through this point. It usually takes about 7 touches for someone to really be converted into a customer, client, or make a sale, right? These are the best steps for you to take in a millennial world to make more millennial sales. So what are millennials really looking at when they go online? They check out the house on the Google Maps. They maybe drive by it and see what's going on. But I'm going to tell you they're going to do a whole lot more with that. So before you have the conversation with any millennial, realize they probably know a lot more than you think. Because when we do searches, we search for everything. We don't really need you to tell us about all the information on the house because we Google Earthed it. We want to know if it's by the school districts that we have. We want to know if they have a coffee shop nearby and maybe a bar that we can go hang out at. We're Googling everything. And Google gives us all the information that we need about the house. This is great because real estate investors and real estate agents can do the same thing. People do the same thing as these real estate investors. They are smart about these houses. They know what's going on. And when they approach you, it's more of a test to see if you're going to give them the same information. Just repeat back the same information, any questions that they have, and they'll realize that you're not going to, move over them. They want that authenticity. They want that transparency and integrity. This is a great way for you to show it just by confirming the information they already looked up. Know that millennials, they're really looking for a place to have fun. They're not looking for a place to raise 10 kids and have a farm with a dog. Some are, but the majority of millennials are really just looking for lifestyle. This is why millennials are really interested in moving in those hipster homes. They're really wanting to be around the cafes, the bars. They want to be by the mountains or the ocean. They don't really want to be out in the backcountry suburbs. They want to be around other people, have fun, be outdoors, and be active. So if you're putting a lot of listings of farmhouses or maybe some apartment buildings that are 10 miles away from the inner city, you're probably not going to get a lot of millennials. Just understand that. The more of these houses and real estate properties that you have, the more millennials will be attracted to those periods of lifestyle. If you talk about things about coffee shops being on these listings or even bistros or maybe a comedy club is about a mile away, they'll be pretty interested in that. Even if they don't use it, just the idea that they can have this lifestyle is really important to them. So here are some questions you can ask them. What do you do for fun? Where do you like to go to have fun with your friends or family? What kind of movies do you like to watch? When you start to understand what they do on a daily basis, you'll really understand what kind of lifestyle they're looking for, so you can provide maybe even a better property than what they were looking at. But what kind of houses are millennials really looking for? They're looking for homes that have patios. They want to be outside. They want to be social. But they're not looking for a huge mansion necessarily. They're actually totally fine living in a small apartment, a condo, or townhome, or even a tiny home, right? Tiny homes are getting huge. They don't want a lot of stuff, but they want to be really active. So if you found a home that had a garage, but the home itself was small, they'd probably buy it because if they put all their gear and fun stuff into the garage, motorcycles, ATVs, snowboards, hiking gear, whatever it is, they'll put all that in the garage, but they'll live in a small space. Maybe their closets will be big, but other than that, they'll live in a small space. But they also do live in the suburbs. But again, they like that patio, they like the smaller house, they want to be active. So easy access to maybe a freeway would be appealing to them if they are in the suburbs. But you got to know that most of them want to be around other people, other millennials. They're fine living in cities. So that's really where the focus needs to be. Interesting thing about millennials is that they are a lot like boomers back in the 60s and 70s. They like to be green. They like to be organic. They like to save the planet that we have so much destroyed. We see it on the news, we see it on the internet, that how the world is acting, how our friends in Ethiopia and Japan are affected by, the Japanese nuclear leak and all that jazz. We are concerned about our Earth. We are concerned about our footprint on the world. So hone in on those green homes that give you a small footprint, have solar, maybe they even got one of those windmill things, anything like that. They're going to be on board with that because not only are they saving money, but they're saving the planet in all reality. Millennials don't want to pay millions of dollars for a home. They want to pay a home that's a reasonable price in an awesome place where they can live and kind of have a small footprint in the world. But they love to have an open floor plan. Remember those homes where they're just all boxy? They don't like that. They want an open floor plan. That's why studios are such a big deal these days. You want to have an open floor plan. And if they can't see it when they walk into a home, give them ideas. Be like, you can knock down these few walls and have a really open floor plan. Millennials are okay with doing some home renovation, but they're not really huge into doing an overhaul. Thankfully, HGTV has inspired most of us to do any kind of renovation. But we really want to move into a home that's ready. We're young, we're still growing up, and we just want to start living our life before we have to start thinking about renovating a home. So find homes that are more open plan or easily able to open. And we want little maintenance. This is why we want patios. We don't want a huge yard that we have to take care of. We'd rather live in the mountains where the forest is overtaking everything. We don't have to do a thing. We'd like scenery, but we don't necessarily want to take care of it. My grandfather was huge into his lawn. I am not. It is a dirt patch, and I am okay with that. And a lot of other millennials are living in apartments and places like that to where they don't have to maintain the grounds. So something where it's little maintenance, sprinkler systems. If there's grass, make sure there's a sprinkler system. If not, give them a referral to someone who installs sprinkler systems for a reasonable price, and then maybe they'll be on board with it. But they do want little maintenance. It's just how it is. But here's some questions you can actually ask them. When they come to you, they have all the information that they need about a home, generally. But here are some questions to get you more engaged with millennials. They come up to you and you ask them, oh, what kind of a house do you want? Do you want a 4-bath and 10 bedrooms and 15,000 acres of a home? No, you don't start with the stats. Start with just some general questions like, have you done some online searching for homes? Just start there because mostly likely they're going to say yes. And here's the thing is, have you found any properties online that you found appealing? That's all you need to ask them because they've done the research. They could show you plenty of examples. And all you need to do is ask these 2 questions to realize you're not going to pitch at them a bunch of numbers that they already know. You're going to ask them what they prefer and if they've been engaged. That's all. You already are building trust because you're starting a relationship instead of starting a business deal. They want that guide, remember? They want you to take them through the process. You don't start at the end goal. You got to start at the beginning with just some general questions. Have you been online and what did you find appealing? Go from there. But after the first contact or the first meeting, follow up through text. Text. And if you can get a system where it is a text, mobile, marketing, affiliate, whatever it is, basically what this is that you have a new listing. You put it up on your website. That new listing goes to all the people that are looking for homes that you got their phone numbers from. It comes into a link on their phone. They can just click it and go straight to the listing on your website instead of you having to give them a call and say, hey, I think I found a new house. Let's go check it out. Send them a text. Be like, look what I found for you. Is this a yes or a no? And just send it. Easy. This is less work for you if you actually think about it. It's a lot of prep, but it's not a lot of work once it gets going. Really look into mobile optimization and marketing. You can Google it. So here's a cool thing. Electronic and mobile alerts keeps leads. Because once they meet with you, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to stay with you. That's with everything. What keeps them engaged is when they get those links into their text messages. It shows you're still engaged with them, but you're not bothering them. So really look into these. because it keeps the leads going and they keep coming back to your website. You always want people to stay on your website as much as possible. This is the best way to do it because it's mobile friendly. You're communicating through text, not email, which we're deleting and going straight to our spam. We're clicking on that link, it goes straight to your website. Boom, instant sales. Your sales conversions are going to go up if you actually have one of these bad boys with you. Overcoming obstacles. Those are always the good questions. What are millennials going to come at me with, and I'm just not sure how to respond? Well, you got to understand, millennials are going to be approaching you, and especially if you're an older person to them, they're going to kind of approach you thinking that they probably don't like millennials. We're in the media all the time. Corporations slander us all the time. We are in Time magazine as the Generation Me. We are all over the place. We are considered to be job hunters. We consider ourselves not being able to commit to absolutely anything, that we're enabled and that we are feeling entitled and all these bad things. I'm not going to get into that, but I do want to let you know they are myths, unfortunately. And so if you approach a millennial with that kind of mindset, they're going to definitely feel that on you. So when you come to them, if a millennial comes to you, just shake out your hand and say, hey, I'm Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so, and I'd love to help you out. I love millennials buying homes because they are the future of our generations. This is a great way to actually introduce yourself because you're showing that you're interested in millennials. You trust millennials. You understand their problems. It's just a great way to get over some obstacles. You don't necessarily have to lead with that, but maybe putting that onto some of your videos would be a great thing. Maybe putting some of the information I did here on some of your YouTube videos would be a great thing for bringing millennials towards you because you get it. They are underemployed. They don't get paid a lot. They get paid off of their productivity versus hours in and hours out. Understanding how a millennial is going to be thinking coming into a big commitment, like buying a house, is a good thing to know. And they're going to feel that energy. We are more in tune with our energy than any other generation before us. Yeah, you can argue with that, but it's true. We search lifestyle. We don't search a paycheck. But the thing that is common is that, yeah, we do have a lack of commitment. We're still young. Every generation who has a lack of commitment usually is in about the 20s and 30s, and we're at that stage right now. The thing is that lack of commitment, yeah, we don't really want to buy a $200,000 house. And here's why. 2008 crash. Again, we saw our parents and our grandparents go through this whole process of losing their homes, going bankrupt, losing their jobs. It was pretty ridiculous what we had to see, and especially 7 years after seeing 9/11. We want meaning in our life, but we want to buy a home, but we can't because we're so afraid that we're going to lose it. If you can be a resource for us, show us how we're not going to lose a home, or give us some tips on how we're not going to lose a home if we buy something that's over $300,000, $400,000. Some cities, there's nothing you can buy that's under $600,000. You really need to hone in on how can we be safe and risk-free in buying a home. Because if it was me, it'd be like, okay, I can either go and get a bunch of stocks, and it would be the same risky business as much as buying a home. Show the difference. Show them how they can still be safe in recession or what they can do to prep themselves if a recession occurs. And also give them some resources to some loan officers. Do they have to go to Wells Fargo? Not necessarily. Do they have to go to USAA? Not necessarily. If you have a loan officer that you completely trust, give them the resource. You don't have to just be the real estate agent. Give them a handyman, give them a plumber, give them people that they can rely on if something weird happens like a 2008, because we really are freaking out about 2008. We do not want it to happen again. And we are really working to make sure it doesn't happen again, regardless of what the news is telling you. You gotta look at the numbers instead of the news. I gotta tell you, millennials have a pretty bad reputation when it goes to the media. But if you actually look at the numbers, like, 32% of millennials are actually buying homes in 2015. I thought they didn't want to buy homes. It's actually the opposite. They do want to buy homes. Be a resource. Give them people they can rely on, because there might be a potential crash, and Honestly, there probably will be another crash in our lifetimes. Be the resource. And here's another thing. Millennials have a lot of debt. We don't want to commit to something that's over $300,000 plus dollars because we have all these school loans. We are the most indebted generation in history. My college experience actually only cost me $50,000. Some people go over to $200,000. That's a mortgage without a house. We are the most indebted generation. And you really need to understand that when they come to you, they have to pay their bills, they got to pay their car payments, they got to pay their school payments. If they have a dog, they got to buy dog food. They are more ample to go to renting than to buying a home because they can get out of the renting situation. If a crash happens, they still have a place to live instead of a home. These are some things that you can help overcome, especially in your videos. If you put videos and blogs out there about this stuff, they're going to trust you so much more because they see you as that resource. They see you as that guide. And really give them tips on how to create a down payment, because with all those bills and student loans, that's the last thing they're thinking about. Putting a down payment there for a house up to $20,000. Are you kidding me? That's a year of school, right? So give them some tips and maybe some prep because, like I said, 76% of millennials be working in 2025. If you have 10 years of videos that talk about this stuff, man, they sign up with you so fast because you are the resource. You have the resources they can tap into if they approach you, send you texts, email you, God forbid. If they do these things that come into you, that's telling you that you are the guide, you are the mentor, you are the resource, and that's what you want. That is called attraction marketing, and you need to tap into that. They need to have location flexibility. This is the reason why they job hop. This is the reason why they're moving all the time and they don't buy a house. Why would you buy a house that's, say, $300,000, move in, and only a year later have to move out and go across the country? So when it comes to job flexibility, yeah, they're job jumping because they come in out of college into an entry-level position and realize they're not really getting paid what they're worth. Sorry. We are the most educated generation in history, and we know more than what you think. And we are definitely able to learn more than what you think. And so that's why we job hop. We find an opportunity, we work there for a couple of years, and we see, okay, I'm not advancing very quickly, but if I go over to this job, I advance immediately. Well, who wouldn't take that? So they job hop, and they job hop across the country, they job hop across the world, and they can even just job hop right into their homes, right online. So you got to understand that renting is more appealing to them because they don't have to put a down payment. They don't have to be in a house and then have house payments only a year later to sell the house. So if you can start talking about renting homes to pay off student loans, that's the way to go. If you have a 3-bedroom house and they really want to have a 2-bedroom house, talk about these things. If you do a 3-bedroom house and a 2-bath, you can have someone move in. Not only would their rent, say in Denver, Colorado, which is booming in 2016, someone moving in, paying the rent will actually pay the mortgage and part of your student loans. Oh my gosh, sold, right? Think about if they had a 4-bedroom house, things like that. You really need to key in on these objections. They may not even say them right away, but if you understand the objections and you just say them right away, they'll buy the house from you, no matter what the house is. As long as it's a 4-bedroom and pays my student loans, we're good to go. So think of these things as you're going through these millennial processes and you're talking to them, showing homes and all that jazz. Location flexibility is really important, and if you can show them or give them a property management resource, so if they do move away, they can use that property management right away to take care of things and they don't have to do a thing. We got enough to do. We don't want to think about taking care of a house and the property management unless we are doing that as a business, unless we're doing that as an income solely. But this can get them involved in entrepreneurship and real estate in general. And if you kind of get their minds turning because they are entrepreneurial in their genetics, man, you're going to be the greatest mentor that they have seen in a long time. And just keep asking them, how can I help? How can I help? Because we are overworked. We are underemployed. And the pay just keeps getting worse. We are moving from an economy that is coming from a job-based economy. Work in is work out, hours in is money out. And we're moving to entrepreneurship and independent contractor. This is why things like network marketing and online marketing and stuff like that is really starting to boom, is because people are starting to get that. They're getting paid for how much work they put in versus how many hours they put in. So they do need to be light and mobile. Give them those resources right off the bat. Videos, you can text them a video about this stuff. After they meet with you, text them a video of why they should move into a 4-bedroom apartment, or a 4-bedroom house, whichever. Like I said before, 32% of millennials are buying the houses in today's market in 2016, and it's only going to get higher because in 2016, they're 16 to 36. That means from 16 to 22, they are in high school and college. That's half of a generation. Once all those guys graduate, they're going to be buying homes too. So this percentage is only going to get higher. And Generation X, in total, only 27% of them have been buying homes to this day. And boomers, it's actually 31% of boomers were buying homes. But remember, the millennials number is going to increase. And if you want to be in business in 10 years, you really need to hone in on the tools I gave you. Now they buy the home, they move in, they love it and they love you. What's the next step? Continue to be a resource. If they need a handyman, you should be the person to call. What handyman do I need? What plumber do I need? This keeps you in their mind. With a busy world all the time, when it comes about 10 years, maybe 2 years down the road and they want to sell their house, who are they going to go to? 75% of millennials are reusing their agents. But let's make that percentage higher for you and retain customers more because they do job hop. They're going to need more houses in the future. It's just how it is. So if they are connected to you, say on Facebook, excellent. And another cool thing, have them move in, chill out for a bit, and 3 months later, give them a call, shoot them a text, say, how's the home going? What can I do for you? What if they say, oh my gosh, we have no insulation in our attic? Give them a contractor that can put insulation in their attic. You are still being a resource. You're still having a relationship with them. And that's one thing that millennials want the most. We're online, we're on our phones, we're on our iPads. Give us a reason to want to talk to you. Be that resource. So 3 months later, just give them a call or shoot them a text. And give them bonuses. This goes with anyone that buys a home from you. Say they refer a friend to you, the agent, to buy a house, maybe sell a house. If they write a contract with you to buy or sell a home, send them a $50 Amazon gift card. You don't know if they use iTunes. You don't know if they use whatever, but everyone uses Amazon. Amazon is the #2 search engine, second to Google. They will use Amazon, and that just covers your basis altogether. And you have to remember that 75% of millennials are reusing or refer agents to their friends. Millennials, we have friends in the boomer and the Gen X generation, but we love our other millennials because there's so many of us. So if you have them refer a friend to you, give them the Amazon gift card and this 75% will go up for you. If you want more resources on millennials and how to market with them, some new ideas, maybe some new apps come out if you want to use Snapchat or any of those other new apps that pop up that become instant successes, give me an email. Or shoot me a text, even better. Give me a call. You can always contact me at anastasiabutton.com. Check out my videos, look at my resources. I'm always talking to real estate agents about how they can really market and network with millennials. Make a big difference in life. Make a big difference in their world. Millennials are the future. Tap into it. Marketing to millennials may change, but being a resource and a guide to them, that's not going to change. They want that relationship with you and they want you to understand their struggles and how you can help them overcome it. You can always contact me at anastasiabutton.com. I'm more than willing to help you get more tips, more videos, anything that happens in the new upcoming millennial world.